Hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you. As of today, we have 3 more weeks of school. Can you believe that it is almost summer break? I really do miss each and every one of you, and it breaks my heart that our year just kind of ended with being together so quickly. And I'm hoping to be able to do a Zoom at the end of the year and give out awards so that we can all see each other again. But anyway, well, hopefully all that will develop as we continue in the next few weeks. I'm going to flip my camera around and we are going to start our lesson. Okay, today is general review. You will need a ruler, ruler needed, okay? And this is all stuff you've done before, so I will go very quickly and then we're going to talk about what's going to be on the test tomorrow. So you guys are going to write the number for each number word. $16.47. You guys have got this. I think I'm going to slide it up. $16.47. Okay. On number 2, you are going to write each as a mixed decimal. So you have got, for example, 13 4/10. So you know that if you have 2 zeros in the bottom, let me try it. See, you've got the 2 zeros you can see in the bottom, okay? So that makes you think that you're going to have 2 numbers at the top, and you do. Now, I always try to explain this, and I feel like I'm always making it more confusing. So the 4 over the 100, okay, you have 2 zeros, which means in your original decimal you had 2 numbers that should have been at the top. But when the 0 comes first, you drop the 0. But when you're writing it, you're going to write 13.04 because you're going to have that second number in there that justifies those 2 numbers in the 0 at the bottom in your denominator. Okay, I hope that doesn't confuse you more than it helps. Okay, now let's go down and take a look at 82 3/1000. Okay, you're just going to write your 82. It's to the left of the decimal. Put your decimal, and then remember you have got 3 zeros. Okay, now you only have a number 3 at the top. You only see one number. That's because 2 zeros have been dropped in front of it. So when you write it out to the side, it's 32.003. Okay? Now let's scoot on down to divide and check. Before we go any further, let's go ahead and highlight number 1 and write test 14. Let's highlight number 3 and write test 14. And let's highlight 7, use ruler, 6, use ruler, sorry about that, because you'll need to use the ruler in your test. And number 8, A, B, and C. Okay, all right, so let's go on back. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, you guys are going to need to know this from here on out, okay? So, you see the 3. The 7 makes us look at this number as estimating more with a 4. So you say, how many times will 4 go into 19? Okay, well 4 goes into 19 almost 5 times. That's a little tricky. So the number that you would probably put up there would probably be a 4 at first. And then if that didn't work, you'll try the 5. Now, if you use the 3 goes into 20 almost 7 times. So that's way off, isn't it? So when you make that number, when you see that that's above a 5 and you make this one a 4, it's going to get you closer to what you need. Some of you still may be confused because you've got a 4 and you're dividing into 19. But you're writing it right here because 37 will not go into 1 or 19, but it'll go into 197. So actually, if you'll draw a little line above the 197, your 5 actually goes there. Okay? Then just continue solving. Okay, let's go down to change to a mixed number. So 11 over 6, that is an improper fraction. You're going to do what, class? Divide. 6 divided into 11 is 1 and 5, 6. You always write that remainder as a fraction. Okay, let's go on down to fill in the blanks, okay? You see the answer, so that's going to be pretty easy, but guess what? Some of you may not know that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Let me show you how to find out, okay? We're going to flip back to page 348, okay? And what did it say? 1 kilogram is how many grams? So let's go over here to kilo. You see that? Kilogram, right there. 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So page 348 will need to be your friend for number 5, okay? We're going to march right over to the other page, okay? And I would like for you to measure the first line, okay? It says use your ruler to measure these lines. Measure to the nearest 1/2 inch, okay? I'm measuring, and hopefully you're measuring at the same time, okay? You should get 2 inches. 2 inches. Did everybody get that? Okay, just make sure that you're measuring to the 1/2 inch. Now I've got my ruler here. Okay, you just line it up. Okay, now thermometers. Now I apologize. When I did the lesson, I just don't have any great thermometers. I have a digital thermometer, but I don't have the kind you can see the mercury going through and all that stuff. Excuse me. But draw thermometers for these temperatures. So you see how 65 degrees, you've got the 60, you've got the 70. Each little increment, each little line stands for 2. Stands for 2. So you've got 2, 4, and then if you do half of that one, that makes 5. So that's pretty simple. So go ahead and draw your thermometers for the other 3. Okay? And then, guys, the ones that I had you highlight, that's just addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Now, guess what? You have a tendency as a class to get the addition incorrect because you are not carrying, and the borrowing, the subtraction incorrect because you're not borrowing. Now, I've moved my phone over so you can't see those answers, but I want you to be very, very careful to add and carry, to subtract and borrow, okay? And you have a 2-digit multiplication. Practice that. That and your 2-digit divisor are some of the trickiest ones I still see for most of the class. Okay, we are going to do the very last story problem together. The Woolard family spent $15.31 at the ice cream castle. Mr. Wallard gave the clerk a $20 bill. What coins and bills did he receive as change? Okay. All right, he had a $20 bill. And how much did he spend, class? $15.31. Now remember, we use our smallest increments of money first as we're counting back change. So we're going to say 15.31, 15.32, 15.33, 15.34, and 15.35. Okay, 15.40, 15.50, 15.75, and $16. And then we say 17, 18, 19, 20. So the change that we give back is $4 and 50, 60, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. $4.69. Okay? So you will write it like this. 4 pennies, 1 nickel, 1 dime, 2 quarters, and $4. Because remember, you're going from smallest to largest increments of money. Okay? Remember, tomorrow you're going to have test 14. Okay? And I have a note that you're going to need 7 pennies and a nickel tomorrow. Okay? Let me double check something. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I do not see that that is going to be on the test. I think you're probably going to need that for the next day's lesson because we don't actually have a lesson tomorrow. But anyway, we won't worry about that. I think a previous teacher had written that down. But we are going to move right on, and we are going to talk about what is going to be on test 14, okay? So I want you to see the highlighted items, pages 240 to 250. The first thing we're going to talk about is write each number or fraction as a decimal, okay? So 9/10 is pretty simple, 0.9, okay? 99 over 100, 0.99. Okay, the third example, 25 6/10 will be 25.6. Just write the 25 because it is a whole number. Then take the 6/10 and that's 0.6. So 25.6. Number 4, 806 and 19/100. 806.19, once again, just list the whole number, which is 806. Then take the 19/100 and solve, and that will be 0.19. Then put 806.19 together. Remember, however many numbers you have in the numerator, you will have the same number of zeros in your denominator. 63 and 4/100, just write your whole number 63, then stop, because many of you will want to write 0.4. Remember, our zero rule that I just mentioned. Think the opposite of the example above. If there are 2 zeros on the bottom in your denominator, then you must have 2 numbers at the top in your numerator. So it is 0.04. So your final answer is 63.04. Does that make sense, class? Because you're going to want to put 63, let me see what I'm trying to say. Okay, so what you're typically going to want to do is just put, if you don't really think about that, you're going to write 0.4, like I just said. But if you really think about it, you're going to realize that has to be 0.04. Does that make sense? Because of the zero rule. So if you'll think about the zero rule and how it applies when you're going from decimals to fractions, and then you reverse in your mind from fractions to decimals. Okay, if you have any questions, you can text me, call me, email me, FaceTime me. Okay, write a mixed number or a fraction. 5.9 equals 5 9/10. One number in your decimal, 1 0 in your denominator. Okay, see that? One number is in your decimal. Okay, so there'll be 1 0 in your denominator. Got that? Okay. 0.44, 44 over 100. There's 2 numbers in your decimal, which means 2 numbers in your denominator, or 2 zeros, which means this, I don't know how I'm saying this, guys. I hope I'm not confusing you. Let me see how I wrote this out. 2 numbers in your decimal means 2 numbers in your numerator, okay? So 2 numbers in your decimal, that's right there. That means you're going to have 2 numbers in your numerator. You see the 44? The 0.44 is your decimal. The 44 in your numerator is what I'm referring to as the 2 numbers. The 2 numbers in your numerator, see that? Okay, which means 2 zeros in your denominator. Okay, I think that's clear to you guys anyway. 4.01, 4 and 1/100. Now this may be confusing because you are thinking that you have 2 numbers in your decimal. So you need 2 in your numerator to match the 2 zeros in the denominator. When you have a 0.01, you drop the 0 in the numerator. Okay? Makes sense? Okay? Then you have 47.23. It's just going to be 47. That's your whole number. And then your decimal part will be 23 over 100. There we go back to the zeros. There's 2 numbers in your numerator. There are 2 zeros in your denominator. Read the words carefully and write the number on the line. 76 and 1900ths. THS are to the right of the decimal, okay? So that'll be 76 and 1900ths, okay? 76 and 1900ths. Remember, anything that has THS is going to be to the right of the decimal, okay? 249 and 3/10. Again, it has the THS at the end. So you just write the 249, which is your whole number. That's to the left of the decimal. And then you have your decimal, and then the tenths is going to be to the right. Okay? Now, this is continued. So see page 2. We typically don't have that much for a test. The test is no longer, it just took me longer to explain it. Okay, follow the signs. All right, here class, hints. Find the common denominator, and this is subtraction. You must borrow a whole number and make it a fraction. When you borrow a whole number, the fraction is the common denominator over itself, so it'll be adding 10 over 10. So, here you go. Will 5 divide evenly into 10? Yes. 10 becomes your common denominator. Then you say 2 goes into 10 how many times? 5 times, right? And then 5 times 2 is 10, so you've got 10 over 10. Let me get a pencil. I think that would make it much better so you guys can see. And also so I don't get confused. Okay? Okay, so you have so you write your common denominator here and your common denominator here. Okay, you say 10 goes into 10 one time. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2. 5 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so you know that you cannot give me $10 if you only have 2. So you have to go over here and borrow 1, and that's a 19, okay? Now, when you borrow 1 and you come over here, you have borrowed 1 whole pie, for example, okay? And how do I know what I write down for that pie? It is always the denominator over itself, because that tells you how many pieces of pie and then how many pieces of pie you have left, okay? So then you add that, so that is 12 tenths minus 10 tenths, okay? So that is going to be 2 tenths. Now remember we're subtracting, and remember we have a whole number over here. 19 minus 5 is going to give you 14. But we're still not finished because we have not reduced it. Will 2 divide evenly into 10? Yes. How many times does it go? 5. Does 2 divide evenly into itself? How many times does it go? Once. You bring your 14 over here again, and you have 14 and 1/5. You have to remember, class, that there's several steps. Just be patient and stay focused. Finding the common denominator first, then you solve, then you realize you have to borrow a whole, and then how do you write that whole as a fraction? Then you have to add those, then subtract this. Okay, then you can't forget about that whole number and subtracting it. Then you have to reduce. Several little steps, isn't it? Okay, multiplication, addition, and carrying, subtraction with borrowing. Okay, so guys, you know what that is. You have multiplication, addition with carrying. So you might have, for multiplication, you may have 199 times 367. You could have a 3-digit multiplication problem. For addition, you may need to carry. For subtraction, you may need to borrow. Okay, you guys know how to do that. Okay, now, 2/3, 2/4, and 1/6. Okay, this is adding fractions, isn't it? Okay, please note, when finding the common denominator, you ask yourself, will 3 and 4 divide evenly into the denominator of 6? Okay, when you have 3 denominators, a lot of times we just have 2. Like up here, we only had 2. You just ask yourself, will 5 divide evenly into 10? And it did, and that was fairly easy. But when you have 3 denominators, you have to ask yourself, will the 2 smallest ones divide evenly into the largest? Will 3 and 4 divide evenly into 6? And they will not. So then, what is the next multiple of 6? And that is 12. Then ask yourself, will 3 and 4 and 6 divide evenly into 12? And that answer is yes. So that will look like this. Okay. 3 divides into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, 4 divides into 12 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divides into 12 2 times. 2 times 1 is 2. So that will be 8 plus 6 is 14, 15, 16. I didn't leave enough space. So you got 16 over 12. Okay, can we leave it that way? No. This is an improper fraction. Okay. So, what do we do, class? Yes, we divide. You divide your denominator into your numerator. Okay. 12 goes into 16 one time. 1 times 12 is 12. Gives you 4. 4 over 12. Can that be reduced, class? Will 4 divide evenly into 12? Yes. 4 goes into 12 3 times, and 4 goes into itself 1 time. 1 and 1/3. Okay? All right. Come on, 4th grade. 2-digit divisors in check. You can do this. So, you will more than likely have one that looks kind of like this. 27 divides into 3,989. And what will you do? You will say, this number is bigger than 5. So I'm going to have to look at this like I'm dividing a 3. Okay? Then you're going to say, okay, 3. Will 3 go into 3? You know, it will, won't it? 1 time, okay? But you realize that this 27 cannot go into 3. It goes into 39, okay? So we're going to write that number 1 right here. 1 times 7 is 7, and 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, that's 12. This number is smaller than this number, so we're on the right track. Bring down your 8. Will 3 go into 12? Yes, 4 times. Let's try 4 and see if that works. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry your 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. So when we subtract that, class, we have 20. 20 is smaller than 27, so we should be on the right track. Now we bring down the 9. Will 3 divide evenly into 20? Not exactly, but it will go, 6 times would be 18, so let's try 6. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry your 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. Now I can tell that I think we're off. Okay, let's try it. Yes, our number is too large. If our number is too large, does this number need to go up or down? It needs to go up. Okay, so we're going to go back and erase this. Try to erase the carrying. Try to erase the numbers that went with it so you don't get confused. Okay, 7 times 7 is 49. Carry my 4. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. That's 0. Okay, that I'm going to have to borrow here, and this is going to become a 10, so that's a 2. Okay, remainder 20, so that's smaller, so that'll work, right? Okay, so we can put 20 over 27 if it asks you to write it as a fraction. If not, then you will just write remainder 20, but you cannot reduce that because there's nothing that will go into both of those. Okay, and then you will be required to check. More than likely, every single time on a test, you'll be asked to check. That will count 2 points off if you don't check, okay? So this is where your 2-digit multiplier has to be, you have to have it mastered because it will hurt your grade on the 2-digit divisor. 7 times 7 is 49. 4 times 7 is 28. 28 plus 4 is 32. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 3 is 10, okay? 0, 14, carry your 1, 8, 9, 2, okay? So we have 9, 6, 9, 3, plus 20, 9, 8, 9, 3. 3,989. Does this match this? If so, you know you got that correct. Now that took me a little bit of time, didn't it? So just take your time. You can do it, okay? You're going to need to measure lines to the nearest 1/2 inch with your ruler. So what will you need to have tomorrow before you get started? Your ruler. It needs to have the inches listed. Now, one thing I noticed about this ruler is I can't see it very well. Make sure that you have a ruler that you can see well. Okay, know the following, class. You're just going to have to know these. Maybe mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, yourself can quiz you. Okay, you can quiz yourself by just reading it, like, for example, okay, the metric system uses meters to measure length. Okay, then I could cover it and say, the metric system uses what to measure length? Meters. Okay, you see what I mean? You can kind of test yourself. The prefix kilo means 1,000. Say it again. The prefix kilo means 1,000. The prefix kilo means 1,000. Okay, so you've got it in your mind. The prefix centi means 1/100. Centi, 1/100. The metric system uses liters to measure liquids. The metric system uses liters to measure what, class? Liquids. Remember, think about the liter drinks, the 2-liter drinks. That'll help you. Think about the metric system using meters by that meter stick I had in my room. That'll help you too. The prefix deci means 1/10. Deci, 1/10. Deci, 1/10. Remember, some of them are fractions. Centi is a fraction. Deci is a fraction. But hecto is not a fraction. Kilo is not a fraction. They're whole numbers, okay? The prefix hecto means 100. The prefix hecto means 100. Try to get those in your mind before the test tomorrow. I know you can do it, okay? Then the very last thing we have, class, is find the products. 3/3 times 1/2, okay? You cannot cancel. Multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. Then you reduce it. Will 3 divide evenly into 6? Yes. So this reduces to 1/2. Okay? So first you ask yourself if it'll cancel. Okay? Sometimes I think this is a little bit hard to see the way I have to type it up. So let me write it down for you. Okay? You can tell there that you can't cancel better than you can looking at it like that. Okay? All right, now, 5 1/5 times 15. Solve your mixed fraction first. Okay, this is the mixed fraction, right? So what do you do, class? Okay, again, I'm going to write this so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so you're going to say 5 times 5 is 25 plus 1 is 26, 26 over 5, right? See that? Okay. The denominator listed will be the denominator. So 5 times 5 is 25 plus 1 is 26. You put that back over the 5, okay? So now, then you multiply by the 15 over a 1. So first of all, you've solved this. You know that it is 26 over 5. Then you have to put a 1 beneath your whole number. Remember to put a 1 as the denominator for whole numbers, okay? So now you've got a 26 over 5, which is this, 26 over 5 times 5 over 1, okay? Now, can you cancel? Yes, okay? You can cancel. I didn't write 15, I wrote a 5. Sorry about that, class. That's confusing, isn't it? Okay, so you can cancel here. 5 will go into 5 one time. 5 goes into 15 3 times, correct? Okay, but you cannot reduce this. It would be nice if you could. Some of these equations will be kind of large. Think if we had not reduced that, you would have been multiplying 25 times 15. So try to cancel to save yourself some work. 26 times 3, okay? If you don't know that in your head, now I kind of do that in my head like this. 25 times 3 is 75. And then I had the extra 1 on the 6 3 times. So I say 75 plus 3 is 78, okay? But now, if you don't see that in your head yet, in a few years you will. 6 times 3 is 18. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So you're going to put 78 over 1. Do not leave that listed like 78 over 1 or I will count 1 point off. Anytime you don't completely reduce, it costs you 1 point. You need to go out to the side and write 78, okay? I hope that this has made sense to you. I'm going to give you one more look of what you're going to be looking at, okay? So you guys know what to study for. I think you will do just fine if you understand what we just went over. Try to remember all the little steps, and if you need me, you have my number. Have a great Monday. Bye-bye.